Good morning. Welcome to the first ever Coffee with the Colonel. Today is March 27th, 2020, Friday morning. It is currently 8:36 a.m. I'm trying to start this video log that will happen hopefully every Friday, just to keep you up to date on what's going on with SMA. It was especially important to get this started as immediately as possible due to everything that's going on in the world around us. So today, in episode 1 of Coffee with Colonel, the topic of discussion is going to be what are the challenges of launching e-learning in response to COVID-19? And some of the topics to discuss is going to be equity of access for students and staff, adapting the curriculum for e-learning, supporting our teachers, encouraging students to take this seriously, and then maintaining that personal connection that happens in the regular traditional classroom, but now in a virtual environment. So let's get started with talking about equity of access for students and staff. As you all know, we are a public charter school. We are public funded. We are not a private school. We don't charge tuition or anything like that. Although we did have a nominal technology fee, it hardly has any impact on the amount of devices we can have available for our students. So as a result, and many of you may already know this, charter schools in the state of Florida anyhow are not funded at the same level as the traditional public schools, and we struggle and depend on philanthropy in order to have plenty of updated and technology to provide for our students and our staff. So currently we have this interesting situation where we're all being forced to work from our home. As you can see from the background here, you're looking at the jungle of my backyard. But currently we've had to provide some of the laptops we do have, our Chromebooks, to our teachers so that they can work from home. As a result, that limits us even more to how many devices we have available for students. And this makes it kind of difficult for our students because some of them are not necessarily going to have the means at home to access a computer. Now, pretty much all of our students have access to cell phones, and quite honestly, most of the content they need to access on their Google Classrooms, they already do access through their cell phones, as well as some of the educational tools we use, such as USA Test Prep and Khan Academy, which are for multiple content areas. However, there are still going to be some that have challenges, but also challenges with access to reliable Wi-Fi and internet access. Now, fortunately, a lot of the companies in the area that provide internet access are providing some free internet access for the next couple of months, and I encourage you, if you are one of those who may have that need, to please go to our website under the COVID-19 page and look at the resources for instruction and learning. And under those resources, there'll be a list of local resources to help you provide internet access. Also on that same page is a drop down for you to request a device for your home during this time of remote learning. As we have limited numbers, we're going to really have to do it as a case by case. There has to be a real need. And quite honestly, if you already have a device in your home, like we do, you're going to need to just schedule time to share that device with your students so that they have time to get on and do their e-learning. And we'll talk about like what kind of time that means when we get further into the curriculum and so forth. So the next topic actually is adapting curriculum for e-learning. This has really brought it home the importance of getting beyond that age of the worksheet and age of the packet, the packet of papers that used to come home every week or whatever. We're beyond that. We've been beyond that, and I know some people still want to see that in education. I know it's what you and I, as parents, that's what we remember. But that age is gone, and it's especially gone now because of how technology has influenced education and influenced our lives, and that's actually a good thing. Because now we're moving more towards where the students have to do more of that heavy load. It's not just opening up your brain and stuffing these worksheets and packets into your head and then closing that cranial cap and hoping that they learn something. Now it's more about the students having to do the heavy work, having to actually do research, having to test their hypotheses and all of these things, which is really what the goal of education is to get them to become individual thinkers, critical thinkers, and to take it beyond just that rote do this assignment, do this assignment, do this assignment, you've got a grade, you must have learned something. So using the e-tools that we have, such as Google Classroom, which is the main platform for all of our curricular offerings. But then within that Google Classroom, there's always going to be other tools within there. Like we utilize, I mentioned USA Test Prep and Khan Academy a lot. Those are excellent tools and they are very individually based. But then your teachers are going to be promoting a lot more of e-learning tools through their Google Classroom. Our goal is, because we know the situation right now is very untenable, right? We know that you may have 3 or 4 children in a home that need to have time on a computer. So our goal is to actually make it not solely internet based. They will be receiving assignments that they're going to have to work on, and then they'll have to upload the results to their Google Classroom. However, it's really important that, and I think getting beyond that packet and worksheet era, it helps us become much more rigorous, helps the curriculum become much more rigorous, and really prepares our students for real life. Moving on a little bit into supporting teachers during this process. So for most of our teachers, this is a completely new platform, new classroom environment, and it's a little bit of struggle. We extended our spring break when all of this happened by an extra week, and we've been working this past week on how to make this work, how to get this e-learning platform out there to our students, and how to make it so it's not just a log in, answer a couple questions, and oh, I've done my part. It really needs to be a rigorous curriculum that really engages the students and hopefully keeps it relevant to them. But this is a totally new platform for our teachers to be able to do this. They can do that in a regular classroom when they're face to face, but now they're doing it remotely, and they don't have the control of the educational environment that they did in their traditional classroom. So in supporting our teachers, we're having to provide, professional development. They're having to work in small teams together remotely because they can't actually be together. Learning how to utilize these e-tools. They're helping each other a lot. I know they've been meeting remotely regularly, as well as my administrative teams. But it really poses a challenge for them because it's not what they've always done, right? So I just ask that we all have some patience and really help them and support the teachers as they dive into this new realm of the educational environment, and try to make this the best experience for your students, our students. Um, when it comes to that, I think a lot of the what's really going to help is knowing that their students are taking this seriously. With everything that's going on in our world, and there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of, well, who knows what's going to happen next. Kids are going to think, or may think, oh, this is just something they've thrown together. This isn't real school. Or there's rumors going on around out there that they're just going to pass you because of the pandemic. And quite honestly, some people are going to say, I just don't learn this way very well. And I understand that. I did my entire master's degree online, and it took a lot for me to be able to become successful in that learning environment. It's really going to be a matter of us as the high school staff and faculty, with your support, the parents at the home, really encouraging our students to make the best of this and to take it seriously. Our goal is to truly have a successful e-learning experience while we're in this situation, whether it only be until April 15th, or if it's extended till May 1st, like it is in some schools up north, or even if we attempt to finish our entire semester through the e-learning platform. Whatever the length or duration of this e-learning experience, the more we take it seriously, the better the argument is that we have completed our educational goal for the school year and can finish the school year. Otherwise, the state has still said is still an option to extend the school year through June, and I'm pretty sure none of us want to do that. I know there's a lot that my team and I need to do to prepare for next school year, hopefully back in the regular classroom with some sense of normalcy again. So please help us to encourage your students to take this seriously and to really put forth their best effort. I know my teachers and I have talked a lot about really making sure that we get every student engaged, making sure that we are able to help those students who maybe didn't have a very good third quarter and need to bring their grades up. It's really our goal to make sure our curriculum is completed by the end of the school year, and that all of our students are able to succeed. And just as a side note, I will mention that by Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, online learning starts on Monday. By this coming Wednesday, if your students have not logged into Google Classrooms, we will be making phone calls to the home and trying to make contacts to see what we can do to help your student be successful. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the personal connection, the social emotional learning aspect, especially during a time that is so that there is so much fear and anxiety with everything that's going on. We really wanted to talk about the importance of maintaining, for example, that student and teacher relationship. I feel every student on our campus probably has a teacher they can talk to, whether it's a teacher they're talking to on a daily basis because they're in a classroom with them, or whether it's somebody they've had before, or maybe it's their advisory teacher, or maybe it's even one of their admin or counselors or a support staff. It's really important that we maintain those relationships and have that communication, especially in a situation like this where there is so much fear and anxiety in the world around us that we seem to have no control over. So it's really important that we maintain those contacts, and I really encourage you to have your student reach out to that teacher of choice or that staff member of choice. Get on the website, find their email, shoot them an email, and that interaction is really going to be important to make sure that our students and our staff, that all of us are in a good headspace to get through the rest of this crisis that is happening here in our nation and across the globe. Next is that student interactions. When we go to this virtual environment, it's not the same as having 25 kids sitting in a classroom working in groups or pairs, or just having that person next to them that they can go, hey, how did you get this answer? That's not going to be as accessible in a virtual environment. But every student does have an email. Many of them already communicate via social media and so forth. And although we want you to impress upon your students the importance of keeping everything positive while they're doing that, especially on social media, because the school has no control over that. But in the Google Classroom and on the email, we encourage them to please communicate with each other, have virtual study times. I know, my family and I have been having Facebook sessions or Zoom sessions, and we hear about all of the horrible things that have been happening with those types of tools. But it's really important that we control our online environment and make sure we have agreements with those we're with on that online environment, that we're going to be civil and we're going to have positive interactions. This is really important, especially in this time of social distancing. Humans are a social people, and we need to have that interaction. And it's especially important in education, because that really, many times in the educational environment, you learn as much from the person sitting next to you or across the room as you do from that expert at the front of the room. Next, I want to talk a little bit about control of that learning environment, or a loss thereof. It's real simple for a teacher to have some control in the classroom. Well, I'm not going to say really simple. It's a skill they have to learn. Some teachers it comes to pretty naturally. Others have to have certain strategies put in place and so forth. The digital environment is going to be completely different, because they're not going to know how to control that educational environment. And so it's really going to have to be a team process, that we're all just committed to having civil discourse, to having keeping everything positive, and everybody being there to help each other be successful. Lastly, I want to talk about what we've been talking about here. This last little section is called social emotional learning. So I want to talk about give you kind of a preview of our episode 2, which is what is social emotional learning and why does SMA include it in their curriculum. And that'll be a discussion of like our advisory classes, plus how we're implementing that type of process into the regular classrooms. This kind of wraps it up for today. If you have any follow-up questions or some topics you would like to see me address during Coffee with the Colonel, speaking of which, I haven't taken a chance to have a sip of coffee, I ask you to please shoot me an email. It's fred.fout, fred.fout at oursma.org. And once again, I encourage you during all of this time to visit our website, especially the COVID-19 page that's on our website. But also go to the high school page and check things out. I know that I will be doing in the future an episode about our development of pathways in the high school, and I encourage you. That's going to be going live fairly soon, and I will encourage you and walk you through that so you can see what it looks like. I thank you for joining me today, and I hope that everybody's staying safe and keeping themselves well. Please take some time to reach out to your family members. Do a Zoom with your family members, or if you all have Gmail, get on there and do a Google Hangouts. The personal Gmail account has free use of Google Hangouts right now. It's a great way to have a virtual meeting where you can actually be talking back and forth to each other, kind of like FaceTime on Facebook. Thank you. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you in the classroom, the virtual classroom, on Monday.